Hi guys, I'm Manu and welcome to another episode of Sweet Money. I'm a Canadian and US CPA. I've got a cool little accounting firm, better known as Shandel CPA. Back in April, we elected our current Prime Minister, Mark Carney, who governs the Liberal Party. The Liberals are a left-leaning party. And it's very important as Canadians to know how is he doing 6 months into his term. I mean, the taxes, the economy, his geopolitical maneuvers, everything impacts you directly as a Canadian. So therefore, we should know where we stand and how he's doing. So without further ado, let's get into it.
Okay, let's go.
Our honorable PM went to Europe and signed a deal with the European Union. And the objective was to deepen the cooperation across the security and defense spectrum. So far, so good. These men, and I use the term men very loosely, agreed on 4 bullet points. All right, now hold on to your seats because I am not creative enough to come up with this riveting stuff. So here we go. Number 1, support for Ukraine. This includes civil reconstruction, aid, and sanctions policy. Now, you may not be aware, but just recently, in the past day or two, Chrystia Freeland was caught in a scandal in which she had authorized or overlooked a project in which money was given to China to build ferries on the west coast of Canada. So between Victoria and Vancouver, there are a bunch of ferries running around that were, produced by China, and that's a big no-no. So instead of getting rid of her, like how any, respectable organization would do, they instead made her in charge of this Ukraine project, right? So instead of punishing her, she got rewarded with a very bobo job. Number 2, crisis management. And this entails strengthening and cooperation on peacekeeping missions, right? Now, number 3 is military interoperability. This is a very technical bullet point. So I'm going to read this word for word, so I don't want to miss anything out. It's enhancing cooperation and potentially expanding participation in the European Union's PESCO project on military interoperability. Now, PESCO is a European alliance of military. So I don't know how this really benefits Canada. Like, let's be honest here. Europe didn't really support Ukraine when Russia invaded them. So I don't understand why Canada would want to be a part of this, because what makes Canada think Europe will support us if we were ever attacked? So I don't know. If you guys have more insights, please drop it in the comment section. But for me, it just didn't make any sense at all. Now, this one, number 4, is pretty funny. I had a hearty laugh. I hope you find the humor in this as much as I did, okay? Now, number 4 contains other security concerns. Now, this can be hybrid threats, cyber security, and the kicker was space security. All right, now space security. If most countries attacked Canada, and I'm talking overwhelming majority of the countries attacked Canada, we would lose, right? So I don't know how we would defend ourselves from space security. Like, if aliens invaded Canada tomorrow, I really don't know what Carney would do with his water pistols, but it just is what it is. So this, my friend, is where our tax dollars went when Carney and his buddies took a European vacation. And this is what they came back with, right? And I don't see in any of those 4 bullets how Canada is benefiting. I see 0 benefits for Canada. Now, for comparison, on the other hand, on July 28th, Trump and his administration went to Europe. They also signed some agreements. And let me just tell you, as a comparison, what Canada did versus what the Americans did. And then you for yourself will have this contrast. So the Americans have said, we will apply a 15% tariff on all goods coming from Europe to Canada. End of story, 15%. So far, so good. In addition, the European Union will invest $600 billion, that's billion with a B, $600 billion in the US. Okay. Now, in addition, that's not all. In addition, the European Union will purchase American energy resources, and military equipment. Okay. Then, when this meeting was done, the media asked the European Commission, and her name is she's a president of the European Commission, and her name is Ursula von der Leyen. And her quote was, "I think it's a fair deal."
Okay, let's go.
In May, the job market was flat, 0%, no increase, no decrease. It just stayed stagnant.
Okay, let's go.
In June, 83,000 jobs were added to the Canadian job market. Of those 83,000 jobs, 70,000 were part-time positions. And here's a fun fact. From January up until the end of August, June was the only month in which we have added jobs.
Okay, let's go.
In July, 41,000 jobs were lost.
Okay, let's go.
In August, 66,000 jobs were lost, and we now sit at an unemployment rate of 7.1%. I had made a video last fall of 2024. At that time, the unemployment rate was 6.6%. And I had said in that video, if we pass the 7% threshold, we are in a recession. And this is a deep recession. What I don't understand, and my question is, why is the government, politicians, the economists, the bank, why are they all refusing to use the R word? Why are they not being transparent about what's really going on in the Canadian economy? And look, while you think about that, give me some SLC. SLC stands for subscribe, like, and comment.
Okay, let's go.
And to fundamentally restructure the trading system. So the starting point has to be one of strength. It has to show that we have control of our own economic destiny, has to have a clear plan here at home to build this economy, to diversify our trading partners with like-minded countries, and also has to have a position of strength in terms of our reaction to the U.S. unjustified tariffs. And that's why we have put in place counter tariffs that have maximum impact in the United States and minimum impact here at home.
The U.S. currently has significant tariffs on goods from Canada, including a 35% tariff on most non-CUSMA compliant goods, a 50% tariff on aluminum and steel imports, and a 50% tariff on certain copper products. Additionally, there is a 10% tariff on non-CUSMA compliant energy and potash products. These tariffs are part of an escalating trade dispute and can be applied to specific items based on their origin and compliance within the Canada-United States-Mexico Agreement, CUSMA, and the source is the Canadian Federation of Independent Business.
Throughout our negotiations with the United States on a new trade and security relationship, the objectives of Canada's new government have been constant. First, to protect Canadian workers and their families. Second, to reinforce the competitiveness of Canadian businesses. And thirdly, to build the strongest economy in the G7. Canada currently has the best trade deal with the United States. And while it's different from what we had before, it is still better than that of any other country. So as we work to address outstanding trade issues with the United States, it's important, it's vital. We do everything we can to preserve this unique advantage for Canadian workers, Canadian businesses. And doing so will require both building on a soon-to-be revised CUSMA, our free trade agreement with the U.S. and Mexico, as well as developing a new form of trade and security partnership with the United States. In this context, and consistent with Canada's commitment to CUSMA, I'm announcing today that the Canadian government will now match the United States by removing all of Canada's tariffs on U.S. goods specifically covered under CUSMA.
I know you guys are smart. You've seen the videos of before and after. No comment.
Okay, let's go.
In Q2, the GDP fell 0.4%. Now, if you extrapolate that for 1 year, that's a shrinkage in our GDP of 1.6%. So if this carries on, our inflation is between 2.5% or so. So 2.5 plus 1.6 is a 4% hit to every single Canadian. The GDP drops, inflation goes up. We're getting hit on both ends. Okay, that's not a good thing. So his apologists will say, look, Carney came in power in April, therefore he should get a out of jail card for Q2 because he wasn't there for the full Q2 period. I disagree. Carney was elected he was elected as a Liberal leader in March 10th, 2025. So when the calendar turned to April, Carney was already governing the country. He is solely responsible for everything that's happened in Q2, good or bad. And here's my bold prediction. In Q3, the GDP will shrink more than Q2.
Okay, let's go.
On September 14th, the National Post issued an article in which the Liberal government under Carney's watch had put aside $13 billion for low-income housing, okay? And this low-income housing were for 47 factory-built homes. So far, so good. And these homes would be built over 6 cities. Now, here's a few conditions in this project that they're undertaking. Number one, the household income, so 30% of the household gross income will be the maximum they will spend on mortgage payments for that house. Meaning if husband, wife, and 2 kids, if the husband and wife make $90,000 gross as a family, the most they will pay on the mortgage is 30% of that, which is $27,000 on the gross income. Okay. In addition, now I just want to put this out there. I personally do not find the National Post to be a very reputable or credible media outlet. Okay. And this article further proves my point. If you read the article, it's very vague as to what exactly is happening. And it's so gray that it leaves more questions than providing answers. Now, the first step is to build 4,000 homes. The 4,000 homes, as per the article, appears as if it's a done deal. On top of that, they're going to build 700 homes in Nunavut, which also seems to be a done deal. Okay. The $13 billion, the way it was worded was initial capitalization, which means this money has been moved to the balance sheet for this project. Okay. That's $13 billion with a B for 47 homes. Now, I'm not a mathematician, but I'm very good on Excel. Actually, I'm better than good. Okay. So Excel is my best friend. When I ran the math on Excel, $13 billion divided by 4,700 homes, the math comes out to $2.766 million per home. That's a pretty nice house, okay? What it goes on to say is that for the 700 homes in Nunavut, it will be over 700. But exactly how much? Are we talking 701 homes or 7,001 homes? Again, it's very gray. In addition, the word that they use, I'm gonna quote this, okay? With the possibility of adding 45,000 more homes. Now, the key word here is possibility. And what they didn't explain is that if they build 40,000 more homes, will those homes be built from the $13 billion budget, or will it be an extra bucket of money allocated towards this project? And that was a confusing part. Now my whole issue with the left government, and this is a classic example, is instead of teaching people how to fish, they hand them the fish. And what that does is that this government becomes a drug of choice. So next time around, they will bring in this party so that these socialist programs don't disappear. And let me explain. When you say to someone, your mortgage is capped at 30% of what you earn, what's the incentive to go out and earn more money? Because think about it. If your household income is $90,000 and you hustle, you get to $100,000. Of that extra $10,000, you're going to pay 30% to your mortgage. You're going to pay another 30% to your taxes. In addition, you're left with only 40%, right? Is it worth putting all this effort for an extra $4,000 increase where really, it just doesn't add up. So why would you hustle? And it's because of these policies that Canada is no longer competitive on the global stage.
Okay, let's go.
Carney hosted a Liberal fundraising event on September 16th in Edmonton. In the past, the Liberals have allowed the media to come in and it's been an open house, right? However, this time around, the media access was limited to certain media outlets. Now, you're probably thinking what I'm thinking. Why only certain media outlets? I thought that the left was all about inclusion and they were about diversity and equity and inclusion and allowing people the freedom of knowledge, right? Why are they playing favoritism? What are they hiding? Right? Because this is the type of maneuver or type of policy you would expect from the right, who are fascist and sexist and dictators and with the whole Nazi mentality with the ironclad fist, right? Why are the Liberals doing this?
Okay, let's go.
March 26, 2024, the Liberals announced on April 16th, 2024, they will reveal the 2024-2025 budget. As of today, September 16th, 2025, we do not have a budget. It's been almost a year and a half. Just recently, Carney has come out and said on November 4th, we will present the budget to Canadians. That's still 2 months out. There's no guarantees it's going to happen on November 4th. No guarantees at all. Now, Carney, if you need help with the budget, feel free to reach out. And in addition, I love my country so much, I will help you on this budget at no cost whatsoever. I will do it for free, and it will be my gift to my fellow Canadians. And remember, it all starts with a simple conversation.